Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And you guessed it, my friends. That's right. We have yet another amazing guest this morning. Her name is Mandy, and she has added purpose to her life with digital marketing. She's a mom of four as well. I'm going to bring her out in just a moment. But first, before I do, I just want to remind everybody that every single person on the show is a client student of our education, many of whom this is their very first online venture, many of whom, this is even sometimes their very first time going live. And so there's no gurus, there's no goblins on this show. It's only just regular people. And this is the very first time that I've talked to anybody who's on the show, all live here, which you'll hear every single part of the conversation. And so we try to keep things as transparent, as authentic as possible around here so you can get the full scoop, hear the full story, and walk away with as many takeaways that can help you as possible. With that being said, Mandy, welcome to the show.
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Just
good.
I'm just putting this out there. Like, this is my husband's studio, so I don't know how the mics work, the cameras work, and I'm just here. Like, he set it all up, so I'm here.
Wow. It looks fantastic. He must know what he's doing for sure. He's got you looking like a rock star over there.
Yeah, which I'm totally not. So that's why I just want to be like, if you see this, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just here.
Yeah, well, he's got you looking rock and rolling. So, Mandy, it's great to have you on. I guess you're calling in from Tennessee. Is that right?
Yes, from Nashville, Tennessee.
Woohoo! Love me some Nashville.
Yeah.
The Ryman Theater. I mean, that's one of my favorite places to watch a show.
Yeah. It's funny because we moved here 7 years ago, and I feel like we never do the Nashville things, everyone's like, the Ryman and all the things on Broadway. And I'm like, I don't know the last time I've gone to Broadway, but it's a great place to live.
It is. So tell us, what led you to Legendary? What were you looking for? Do you feel like you found it? Tell us your story.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think I was really looking for anything other than for the last 10 years. So let me start back. I started an online business way back in 2010, I guess. And I was kind of in the online space, and I had a subscription box called Happy Mommy Box and was doing all the things online. And I guess the easiest way to say it is that that venture, which was the purpose behind it, was to encourage and inspire women and all of these things, right, for mothers. And I feel like it made me the most unhappy mommy on the planet, which was the ironic part. And so I did that for a couple of years, and I just felt like God was calling me to walk away from it. And so I did. I stepped away. That's when we moved to Nashville, and I just kept saying I'm on sabbatical, and then that sabbatical from that year kind of turned to the next year. And then within the next 10 years, I feel like, I was at home with my kids, but then I started my marriage almost blew up. I just feel like there were a million things that happened within that 10 years that were just tragic and trauma. It's always hard for me when talking to somebody about what's your story? Because I'm always which part and where should I start? Because it's I don't know. I have so much background of just crap that's happened in my life. I don't even know where to start. And I think that held me back for a really long time once I was ready to step back into something, because I was I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to tell people what the heck I've been through in the last 10 years. And so that was really hard for me, and it made me really have to think about what is my story? And so, for 10 years, my marriage was all over the place. My husband was in recovery from addiction stuff. I'd made some terrible choices. So I was just 100% focused on my kids and just being a mom. And I was okay, walked away from online stuff, just being a mom. And I think eventually for me, what happened was one day I just woke up and I was I didn't even know, someone was well, what do you do for fun? I was fun?
Right.
Sleep? I don't know, And so I really just was like, who even am I? Like, I don't even know. Like, and that just, I will say, after going through the recovery stuff with my marriage, and when I kind of felt like I wasn't just surviving anymore, it was an opportunity for me to be like, okay, what now, God? Like, what next? Because I'm like, I don't know where to go now. Like, I'm not just surviving. My kids are a little bit older now; they're all in school. My marriage is not like on the brink of divorce anymore. Like, but now what? Like, here I am, just like, I need something. And so I don't know that I was necessarily searching for something online, because I kind of had swore off everything online, if that makes sense. I was like, that is not something I'm ever going back to. Like, physical products, shipping subscription boxes to people every month, go back, and so I really wasn't looking for something online. And my husband does online stuff, and I was just like, ugh, I don't think I can do it. But I guess I was just scrolling social media, numbing out, I'm sure, at some point, and I just came across another mom, which I know is a lot of people's story, who was talking about doing affiliate marketing and making, thousands a month. And I was just like, well, this is interesting. And it wasn't the money for me. It was like, I just could totally relate to her, and her story, and her searching for something for herself. And that's when I found Legendary Marketer. And I won't even say that, like, when I first initially bought the course, that I was just like, I was kind of like, okay, I want to see what this girl is talking about, because I've done online stuff before, and I'm not buying it, that was my initial, like, probably like, I'm going to prove her wrong, because there's no way she's telling the truth, Also, trust no one. That's like the trauma behind me, is like, I don't trust anybody. So like, I have I have to find out for myself. And so I think that was like the initial, like, let me just see what this is, Another thing for me is that I just never made my own money. I was an only child growing up. And so my parents kind of were just gave me everything, which I know is not a lot of people's story. But I was their miracle child. They weren't supposed to have kids. And so like, I grew up thinking like I was everything, but I also didn't have to work for money. But I will say that one thing that I did do is that my dad was an alcoholic for a good portion of my life, which caused me to that's probably where the not trusting people started. And so that caused me to really figure things out on my own all the time. Like, I knew I just couldn't trust anyone. So I was just going to be able to figure it out on my own. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is probably like, okay, I saw her and I was like, I don't trust her. Let me just like see if it's real. Let me just figure it out on my own. Let me just see if I can prove her wrong. Is kind of where it started.
Yeah. Wow. Very, very interesting. Very interesting.
So interesting, Dave. I don't know.
Very honest and just very, very relatable too. I mean, it's. I think that so many of us have gone through traumatic situations, and it's difficult to really go all in on something because we, have been burned in the past, or we've burned ourselves somehow, just through bad decision making. It's not, I loved it when people take responsibility. Surely traumatic things happen and bad things happen, and people do bad things and people make bad choices that affect us, but we also make bad choices ourselves. And those affect us too. And so we burn ourselves, and we also become, we become hesitant and skeptical of maybe our own decision making. And that's totally understandable and relatable. And I really do believe with all my heart that the majority of people that come in to our community are building back trust within themselves, that they can actually do something and be successful with something. So talk to us a little bit about the process of you going through our challenge. It appears to me, at least, that you've kind of ended up going all in here with this, from an education standpoint and from an action standpoint. Tell us how that changed. How did that skepticism sort of lower? And how did you start to buy into what I was talking about in the challenge and what you were hearing these other people in our community talking about?
Yeah. I think as soon as I bought the $7 challenge and I was on day one, first of all, I think I finished it in like 4.5 days. I was like probably harassing your people, the advisors, like, can you please talk to me? I need to keep going. Like, I can't, I'm like all in. But I think once I saw day one and I was like, oh, okay. But, because I am familiar with the online space and my husband has done courses and I was never really in that because I was like, that's confusing to me. I don't understand, but I knew that like a $7 course, even from day one, I was like, this is a lot of value for like $7. So I think initially I was like, okay, I'm listening. And then yeah, like I don't know. Like I wish I could tell you what it was that clicked, but I think sometimes, it's like we don't know what we're searching for. And then this something gets put in your path. And then really it's our job to like take the step, even though you don't know why you're doing it. And so I think that's kind of what I did. I was like, okay, I don't know. Like, I don't know why I feel like I'm supposed to do this, but like, let me just see what it is. And, so like stepping into that and then the rest, I feel like God does, like, so the mindset from there just became, I'm all in. Like, I don't know what it was, but that day I remember like walking around the house after I watched like a bunch of the stuff. And my husband was like, whoa, like, what's up with you? And I was like, I'm doing it. Like, I am so doing this. Like, and he's like, okay. I believe you. And I was like, you should, because I'm doing it. And it just gave me this like confidence. I don't know. And I love how some of this stuff in there is about mindset because of just our past. And I feel like I've been in therapy for like, I always joke. 'Cause I'm like, I think I'm like been in therapy so long. I'm like one session away from being a therapist. But I mean, and so I love that like there's the mindset stuff. And then there was even stuff, talking about the neurofeedback in your brain. And I can't remember which of the people that you had on there that was talking about that. But I was like, oh, this is what, who was it?
Dr. Lipton.
Yes. And so that was so interesting to me because we've had a son who was very difficult for a lot of years. Probably another reason I was just surviving. But we had been doing neurofeedback with him for 4 years. And so I was like, oh, nobody talks about like resetting your brain and all of the things that like you're like that happens up here. And so it was just like another sign for me that I was like, okay, I think this is for me. Yeah. And just the content was just like, over delivered, like you definitely over deliver for the $7 and really give and equip people with like what the knowledge and the mindset change.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad that you had that experience. What was it like for you to once you did kind of declare to your husband and sort of declare out loud to yourself that you were going to do this, that you're all in? Now you actually had to do it, right? You had to follow through. So talk to us a little bit about what the follow through has been like for you.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That was the scariest part. I'll be honest. Because especially when you're investing in the blueprints and you're like, okay, I know last week I was all in, but am I in? Am I all in? It's like you go through those like cycles of your mindset of like you're all in, and then the next day you're like, am I though? Because I mean, like I don't know if I like really trust myself. But I knew for me personally, like if I was gonna be all in, then that meant I was gonna get the blueprints because like it was a commitment, right? For me, like if I get the blueprints and I say I'm gonna do this, then I have to do it because if I do that and I just like, I'm like, oh no, I changed my mind. No, I mean, then I feel like I'm failing. And so I just kept pushing through like the shift in my mind. And then when I purchased the blueprints and then I saw everything that came with that, I was like, oh, it's like a step by step, and then it makes you feel confident about being able to do it because it shows you how to do it. And I think also before had this mindset of like, I didn't understand how it all worked, like affiliate marketing and like digital products. And even though that my husband is like completely immersed in this, like I didn't understand like click funnels and sales stuff. I was just like, all of that is like, I'm not interested. Right. Like once you actually like take the time to like just go through the steps, it is not near as complicated as I was telling myself. And so I think there was this confidence in him that I was like, well, I could do that. Like I could do this. Like, oh, so yeah, I don't know. It just clicked for me. I always, I say like, well, this is what I was telling my husband. Like, you go to the eye doctor and they have the little like thing and they're like, you're reading the letter and they're like, is it better now? And they're like switching that little magnifier thing. They're like, this or this, better now or now, And I was like, all I could say is that like, once I went through this course and I got the blueprints, like, I feel like it was like clearer now. Like, that's it. Like, I can see clear. And before it was so blurry. And that's like the best way to describe it.
I call those the education that we give and the clarity that this education provides. It's sort of like putting on the marketing shades, now all of a sudden, you actually can look at your phone, you can look at your computer, and you can actually understand, that's how they're making, that's why they're posting those videos. That's why they're sending these emails. That's why I thought it was just spam at first. I thought it was just a charity at first. I thought it was just a scam at first. But now I can really realize and that was a beautiful analogy that you just gave. I thankfully have had other issues, but not eye issues. So I've not gone and had that process, where I had to get and stuff. But that was a beautiful analogy, because I know exactly what you're talking about, where they flip the things and it's like, can you see clearly now? I mean, it's kind of like focusing a pair of binoculars, right? But your analogy was better. And I think that so many people come like into our community and are so skeptical and or don't go through the education and still don't get it. And it's like, friends, if you would just take a little bit of time, I know you don't have time. I know you don't have time to wait. I know you need money now. I know you need, I know blah, 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 all the things. But if you would just take the time to go through the education, you will at the very least, even if you don't take action on it, you will be able to now understand why people are doing certain things on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and all the places. And it will most likely, even if you don't take action on it, drive you crazy, because you're going to see all these people doing all these things and you're going to be like, that's what they're doing. They're doing affiliate marketing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, once I saw it, I was like, everything is affiliate marketing. I mean, it's like, I went outside and my neighbor was like, I love that shirt. And I was like, sweet. And I was like, wait, this is like affiliate marketing. Because if I just had a link, I would just give it to you and you would buy it and then I would get paid.
Well, and too many of us do affiliate marketing without actually getting paid.
Yeah. Right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, time out. I need to apply for this affiliate program. Let me be right back.
How often do we post something on Facebook? How often? And for those of you who have had Facebook, some of you haven't had Facebook, but I see people every single day sharing, posting, talking about, I got this product and used it and loved it and da 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 da, and just posting a link, and then people go and buy, or more people go. You don't know, because you don't have a tracking link. You're not getting paid for it. 10 of your friends could have went and bought that, and you could have earned $100 from every $1,000 right there. But because you didn't first go and just sign up for their affiliate program and grab the link and share it in the same exact way that you would have just shared it naturally. But the cool thing is that we don't have to. With this business model, with affiliate marketing, you can enter into any niche and find a variety of thousands of different products. We don't have to chase and harass friends and family. This is not network marketing. How does that sit with you? And are you thankful about that? Have you somewhat, or do you plan to sort of keep some boundaries around this in terms of sharing with friends and family? Talk to us a little bit about how that either overlaps or how that is compartmentalized and firm boundaries are set in terms of what you are doing here with your new entrepreneurial career.
Yeah. So it's interesting because that was the one thing that I did not want to do. Like, I do not want to be like one of those people that's like cold messaging a like former college roommate that was like, oh, I have this great opportunity. And I'm like, I haven't talked to you in like, I don't know how long I've not been in college, but it seems like yesterday, but I did not want to do that. And so like, this was just so interesting to me because I was like, okay, wait, this is like totally going to rely on just me. I don't have to like hit up all my friends and family, because I've actually done that. I started with like, I did Beachbody and I've done like MLMs, and I never really had success with it because I wasn't willing to like go beg my friends and family to do it, you know? Plus I'm an only child. I mean, I really don't have a lot of family, you know, people are like got sisters and all the, I'm like, I got me, that's it, you know? But yeah, I didn't want to do that at all. And so this was really something that I was like, okay. And even when I started, you know, any kind of social media that I had before, like I hadn't been posting consistently on anything for years. And so I was like, it just doesn't feel authentic to me. It's so something that I'm like so passionate about is being authentic. And I think that is why for 10 years I was silent, because sometimes when you're just going through the crap of life, it I was like, I can't, if I'm going to be on social media, then I have to be who I am. And it was just, I was in such a dark place that I didn't know how to share what I was going through when I was going through it. And so I was like, I just can't be on, because if I can't be me and I can't be honest about what's happening, then I won't say anything. And so when I came back into being like, okay, I'm going to get back onto the online thing, being authentic is just everything to me. But I was like, it didn't feel authentic to go to like this group of moms that I had, you know, encouraged and inspired before and be like, and now I'm going to show you how to make money online, you know? And so I was like, okay. And also I just want to like start from zero. I wanted to like prove to myself that I could start at the beginning and then like I could build it, you know? That's something that gives me like just such gratification, is knowing I could build something from scratch.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'm like this. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell anybody that knows me, because they're going to be like judging, you know. I think at first I was a little worried. But I will say one thing, that just going through the course and all of the content and learning information, the confidence that you get in that, like, I think I posted for like a week and then I was like, I don't really care if anyone knows about I'm doing this, because I just like felt so good about just the knowledge that I knew and like the authentic place I was coming from.
Yeah.
And so now it's a little bit like, okay, I don't care if like my friends and family are seeing it, and they are, you know, like I walked into an event at school the other night and someone's like, oh, I saw your like, you know, and I do stupid like dances and stuff. And they're like, I saw your Instagram. And I was like, yeah, I'm thinking like, she thinks I'm crazy, but that's fine, because you
Yeah.
know, like, yeah, I just who I am. And I was not able to be fully me before online because of the crap that I was going through. So it feels good to be back and be like, yeah, you know, like it's just me and that's who I am. And you like me or you don't, and that's okay, you know?
Yeah. Well, it also matters less when you're actually succeeding and making money too. I mean, that's one of the things that helps. And I know for me, when I first got started and I started to make money and I knew that people knew what I was doing, and I mean, this was 13 years ago for me. So, I mean, I was pretty much posting on Facebook and starting to market on social media platforms that pretty much everybody was on. Like Facebook was like the only thing back then. There
Yeah.
wasn't really Instagram and TikTok, and certainly wasn't TikTok, but I mean, we were just coming out of the MySpace days. And so it's like, you know, like people just knew what I was doing. And like the only way to kind of like hide from them was make like back then they were called fan pages. Now they're called business pages, what we're on right now on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, there was a lot of insecurity for me first too, of course, when I got started. I mean, I was previously, you know, homeless not too long ago and drug addicted, and you know, all the struggles that somebody could really have as a person starting their life back over again. But it was weird because when I started making money, like all that, when like the confidence it just it was amazing how much confidence I got when I just made my first dollar. When I
Yeah.
just made my first dollar, I was just like, "Ugh, you can't tell me nothing." And you know, I saw a comment that I just want to point out, and this is a great example of how we overthink things. Heather said, I love the stories, but I'm curious, like what steps they did to get started. I know following the blueprints, but like, what was your own method? Like you said, where to start? And I mean, that's like just a great example of, and Heather, thank you for the question. I don't want to shame or guilt you or anything for the question. But that's like a great example of like how we just procrastinate our way and overthink this process so much, because unfortunately we do show everything in our training. It is in the training, it is in the videos. So if you're not willing to watch a couple of videos and actually just see how it's done and learn how it's done, you don't have to have your own method. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to come up with your own way. And it's crazy because we will sort of stay in that overthinking kind of, it almost insecure too, because we're in that contemplative stage, and that's where the insecurity comes from. It's like, I don't want anybody to really know that I'm doing it. But the moment that you actually just say, I'm doing this no matter what, I'm going to learn it, I'm going to do it, I got this, and you make your first dollar, all of the caring what other people think, all of the, I mean, you just you transform into sort of a, a superwoman or a superman. You walk around with like this swagger because you're making money on the internet now, and I just became a totally different person, because for the very first time, it's not just you that hadn't made your own money. I mean, me, when I first started this, I hadn't made really any legitimate, serious money in my life either. I was either an addict who was hustling and trying to just get by to try to either survive, buy food, pay for my addiction, etc. Then when I got clean at 24, I was working construction with my dad, and I was right. So I had never really had anything of my own. And so when I made my first dollar, my first $100, my first $1,000, I can remember the first time that I made $1,000 in a week. I was so rich, you couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't tell me nothing. And it was just all of the worrying about other people's opinions, all of the sort of, I need you to like support and validate and co-sign what I'm doing. All of that just went out the window, and I was literally off to the races. And it's the same thing in terms of, well, how do I get my sport spouse to support me? How do I get people who are, particularly my spouse, but even if I have a best friend or something like that, or somebody in my friend or family list that I really want their support? Well, I'll tell you how to get them to support you, particularly your spouse. Put some dadgum money in the bank. I mean, seriously, they will roll out the red car. You'll go from being on your phone, numbing out, and being like, oh, are you on your phone again? To quiet in the house. Mommy's got to make a video.
Yes. So true. Yes, that is so true. And it's so interesting because, with everything that we've gone through in our marriage, at one point, like, I don't even know how we're still married. You're definitely gone. But I'm like, my husband, I think I didn't trust him at all. I didn't trust anything. So like that trickles down into like your finances, right? Like he provides for us and he has his online business, but I was like, but I don't trust him because I don't trust that he's not going to fall back into his addiction, or I don't trust that like we're going to work this out. And then I just kept feeling like stuck, I was like, oh, like I feel stuck. Like I don't have a way to do this myself. I don't have a way to feel confident about myself without him. And it wasn't like, I'm not saying that because like I was trying to leave him. Okay. So let's just put that out there. Like we're not like everything's fine now, but like we're definitely in recovery and we're past kind of where we were in the darkest place. But I say that because it doesn't really matter if it's the same feeling. I still don't want to feel stuck now. Like I don't want to ever feel that again, to where I'm like relying on someone else. Like I want to feel good about me. Like I want to have my own purpose. I want to have like my own thing. I want to make my own money and feel confident that I could do this, no matter what he's doing. And so when I first started doing this, he was like, at first he was kind of like, well, time out, because I was like swore off the online space for such a long time. And then he was also like, I think he got like a lot of fear. Like he was like, oh, is she doing this because she needs her own money and she's like out the door, and she's like, but see ya. And I had to really like reassure him, like, no, that isn't it. Like, that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because like, I just want to know I can do it. Like, I want to know that I can provide for our family, that, like that I'm good enough, that like, I don't know that I'm capable. And so at first he was a little like, let me like feel this out. And I feel like now he's like super supportive, and really excited. And like you said, it's like, oh, you make your first $1,000. And he was like, okay, I'm here for this, let me just see what you got, babe, so it does. It's like you make that first even few dollars and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm all in.
And we all have to remember that this is not a job fair. This is not Legendary Marketer is not a, it has become sort of a support group. It has become a supportive community. But friends, this is the school of hard knocks. This is the school of entrepreneurship. So if I say something sort of like I said to Heather here, it's not to call anybody out. It's to try to jar and shake you, any one of you who is ready to be shaken out of the sort of scared, complacent, or overthinking, procrastinating mode, to throw yourself into the fire and start taking action and shoot first and ask questions later. You will figure so much of this out as you are doing it, as you are going. You are not going to listen to these wake up legendaries and figure it all out. But because guess what? This program is not wake up legendary. The program, the education, the curriculum is actually in our courses. Wake up legendary is just it's an entertaining show. This is not meant to be the program. So if you're sitting here on Wake Up Legendary, confused, wondering what to do, well, understand that Wake Up Legendary is meant to be used in conjunction with going through the curriculum, because then you can see real life stories of people who are actually using the strategies, the frameworks, the techniques in the curriculum, and hearing the real life story behind what they're actually, you're hearing the story, not just seeing the glory, right? You see a lot of people who are having success, and Wake Up Legendary is an opportunity for you to get an hour-long interview to hear all the behind the scenes sort of thinking and struggles and challenges, my friends. So please understand that I am here to give you carefrontation, not confrontation, not to put anybody down, not but to give you that carefrontation and say, hey, I care enough about you. I care enough about entrepreneurship. Let me say it like that, because I don't want to personalize it. I care enough about the sport of entrepreneurship to be truthful about what it takes to be a business owner. And what it takes is you have to know what you're watching, and what you're watching right now is pure entertainment and motivation and inspiration only. And if you want to know how to do it, go through the curriculum and then do what the hell we say in the curriculum. Go and take action on it. And then you get frustrated, and you will think that you're failing, and you will think that you're not good enough, and you will compare yourself to other people. As you're going through that and taking action, come back and watch Wake Up Legendary every day, because it will give you a shot of inspiration and motivation to let you know, to remind you that there's nothing wrong with you, that everybody goes through similar things at the beginning of their journey. Does that feel like it fits?
Yes, it so fits. I was just gonna say, like, that's the one thing I actually did this week, is like I was feeling a little like insecure about, okay, you start analyzing like all the things you're doing, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't know. And so I was like, I'm just gonna like watch one of the Wake Up Legendaries. It's like, just I knew that I had watched a few of the girls on social media that were doing this, and one common thing that they kept saying was, this is simple stuff that anyone can learn, but most people give up. And I thought, well, you know why I'm in? Because I don't quit. And like, that was like the only confidence I had about myself that my dad like instilled in me, is like, you don't ever give up, And so I thought, well, if this is about not quitting, I'm all in, because like, I mean, I'm not going to quit. So I think that was the one thing the only confidence I had going into it, is I felt like good about the fact that like, I'm not going to quit. So then it's like, okay, well, I felt like quitting already. So what am I going to do when I feel like quitting? And that's one of the things I did, is I will go back and I'll just watch. I even went back to some of the core stuff, and I'll watch just a little snippet, or I'll watch an interview, and I'm like, okay, so it makes you feel like human, like me too, like other people are feeling the same things, but it also just reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's great what you said.
So when you started to actually take action on what you were learning, posting, marketing, building funnels, etc., particularly the holding this bad boy up and starting to film videos and
Yeah.
actually post your first videos online, talk to us about what were some of the limiting beliefs, the challenges, the things that you had to overcome within your own mindset in order to get going. Talk to us about what that beginning stage, phase one, growth one, 0 followers getting started was like for you.
Yeah, I think it was really hard at first because you're not making money. You're not doing anything yet. So you're like, okay, how do I, like, all these people are being like, I made so much money and here's my like bank statements and whatever else, and you're just like, okay, well, yeah, I haven't done that yet. So that was one thing for me that was really hard, was just starting, just like taking that step of like, what do I put out there? Like, like how do I encourage and inspire people when I'm just now starting myself. And it was just like, I don't have an answer for that other than you just start. Like, you just start sharing who you are. You start sharing where you're at in your story. You start sharing like your fears. Like, I have teenage boys. So it's funny because they're like, what are you doing? Like, they're like, what is this video you posted, Mom? Then they're like, Mom, all my friends are following you. I was like, awesome. Tell them I'm the coolest, And like before I would be like, oh crap, his friends are following me. And like, I'm kind of like shying away from that. And now I'm just like, tell them we're crazy, bro, And so I think at first it was like getting just over those hurdles of like, yes, people are going to be watching this. But also a big thing for me was like, I was like, I'm 42. I kind of feel like I'm 24, but I know I'm 42. And TikTok and reel, like I didn't even know how to do a reel, even though like I had done stuff before. Like TikTok wasn't around then, and neither was reels. So like when I jumped back into this, I had like never really done a reel. I was like, what's a reel, So I'm 42, and like all these girls are young, and even some of the moms are like in their 30s, and I'm like, am I like having this like misconception? Because I feel like I'm young, but I'm like, are people like, you're 42 and you're really like doing these videos online, So that was something I had to get over, because I was like, well, I mean, I am 42. And also this is really fun at 42, guys, It's fun to be like just confident in yourself enough to where you could be like, maybe I'm 52, who knows? But like, I'm still here and I am like capable and I'm going to make money, and you're still at your 9 to 5, So it's like, it just feels, I don't know. It is hard at first. I think the only thing I would say is like, once you just step into it, every day gets easier, like your confidence gets built as you're going. I think everybody wants to, and including me, I lived in this space for 10 years. Like, you want to get the confidence before you start, right? You want to have the clear picture before you take action. And it's just not going to happen. It's like, you have to step into something that's uncomfortable, that's scary, before you're going to get the clarity or before you're going to get the confidence. And so that's what I just kept telling myself. I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing these videos right, or I'm like just learning as I go, and they're going to be real cringy. That's fine. But like, I'm going to be way better in 2 weeks from now. And then in 2 weeks from then. And so I just kind of went with that mentality of like, I'm just going to grow every day. I'm going to just grow. Yeah.
Well, Kelly says, I feel like she is explaining my exact life right now. I feel like I swear I'm watching future me. Thanks for being here, Mandy.
I love that.
And I'm 39. I mean, like, I'm going to be 40 in just 2 months, in November, so I'll join the 40 club. And, it's like what I was doing when I was 24 or 34 has no bearing on me today. Like, as I get older, I have to sort of, figure out and deal with what to do as a 39-year-old man, internet marketer, right? And soon to be 40. I mean, I have to reinvent myself. I mean, one of the reasons why I think we get stuck as people is because we just think that life is about staying the same.
Mm-hmm.
And life is not about staying the same, friends. Life is about change. The only thing that's guaranteed in life is you're going to die and shit is going to change,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the pain is in the resistance of
Yeah.
not going with the flow and embracing the changes in my body, the changes in my belief systems, the changes in my in both interior body but also exterior body, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
have
Yeah.
gotten 5,000 times more gray. Actually, I'm starting to wear this gray hat because it just blends in perfectly with my facial hair. I mean, I am like as gray as a 67-year-old man. I mean, it's you would think that I was literally 70, but I'm only 39. And it's just, so yeah, you don't think that I ever pick up the, phone or get on here on Wake Up Ledger and go, Jesus Christmas. I mean, what
Yeah.
happened? Where did the face go? I
Right.
do. But, it's like I had different challenges when I started. There's always going to be a challenge. My challenge when I started was I had a total baby face and I looked young and I looked like I totally belonged on the internet. But I was a recently homeless, recovering drug addict, high school dropout, teenage father who had no experience, no credentials, no education, and nobody took seriously, right?
Yeah.
Especially not in my real life. So I can always find a reason for, I can always find a reason to count myself out, or I can
Mhm.
always find something to criticize about myself. But I'll tell you what, everything that you said about this being fun at 42, embracing it, making some money, stop caring what people think, and also embracing the change that is life, the change that has happened with our economy right now. People, it's not that weird of a thing to be on TikTok and Instagram anymore, friends, especially after the pandemic. Nobody wants to go back to work. And if
Right.
they're judging you, it's only they're projecting jealousy that you
Mhm.
look and appear to be at home messing around with your phone while they're sitting in an office because they had to go back to work after the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we also have to realize that the criticism and judgment that's coming from other people is just usually projection. They're just projecting whatever bad stuff they're feeling, and really tease that apart from the criticism that we're giving to ourselves and learn how to talk in a more empowering way to ourselves. So talk to us a little bit about your internal self-talk and how have you when you post a video, not over critique yourself or refilm something 5,000 times, or just learn to love and embrace your content because it's hard when we hear our voice or we see ourselves on video. How have you learned to accept, love, and celebrate yourself a little bit more in this process? And what are you saying to yourself internally? What's the new soundtrack, maybe versus the old soundtrack that used to play?
Oh, the old soundtrack wasn't good, I can tell you that. I think I had a lot of limiting beliefs because of just growing up, like, being the miracle child. Like, my sin is definitely pride. And I think once you, get to be an adult and you get into a marriage and you start making mistakes and you start not being a perfect person, you really are hard on yourself because 'cause you're just like, oh, okay. And you have a lot of shame. You carry so much shame about the mistakes that you make. And so I lived in so much shame about my like mistakes because I thought there was this like perfect life and I was this perfect little miracle child. And then I was like got into real life and I was like, oh dang, I suck. And then that became like just this like this internal just continued to play in my mind that like I'm not capable, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough at this. Like plus I was so caught up in the acceptance of other people and what people were saying about me. And so I lived in that space. I could probably talk about that for a lot longer because this new confidence that I have and the new reel that plays in my head is new for me. It's new. I can tell you that something for me, and I don't know if people can relate to this, but and I think sometimes it does take grief to change. Something very drastic has to happen for you to wake up. And for me, that was, my dad was diagnosed with ALS. I think it was like 3 years ago. And so I watched him. I thought like, oh, he is like negative Nancy, real negative. Like everything that I would ever be like, Dad, I'm going to do this. He'd be like, you can't do that. And then I would do it. He'd be like, oh, that's great. You know what? You can do that. But he was always at first just this negative person. So I thought when he got diagnosed with ALS, I was like, this is going to be terrible. Like he is going to lose his mind because like with ALS, if you don't know, it's like you lose all, like your whole body stops working basically.
My aunt had ALS, and
okay. Yeah, it was terrible to watch, and it was very unexpected. So we were just like, and I thought this is going to be so bad. But I went, and I remember like the first time I went back to Illinois to visit him because that's where I'm from, and I remember him just being so positive and like so happy. And I thought, I am so confused right now because he has every reason. Like if you wake up every day knowing that like you're dying, like how are you happy? Like how would you have gratitude? And so for me, it was just watching him for 8 months before he passed away. He did not complain one time. And he is like me. He's a doer of all things. He builds things. He was like, and not one time did I hear him in those 8 months say anything negative about what he was going through. And I thought, if he can wake up every single day knowing he's dying and he can be like, he can find the gratitude and the good things. It was just a turning point for me because I was like, I'm not dying. Actually, I think I am. Most days I thought I was dying. Most days I was like, my marriage is over. My kids are crazy. Like I suck. I can't do anything. I'm not doing the online thing. I'm just like I'm blue. I'm depressed. But I was like, wait, I'm not dying. Like I actually can walk to the bathroom by myself. Like just those little things that you don't think about that you're grateful for. It really just, it just changed it for me to be like, okay, how am I going to stop living like I'm dying and start living like I'm living,
Wow. That's really something. That's powerful. That's really powerful, Mandy. It really, really is. Wow. We do live like we're dying so often, and what a powerful perspective to be able to see that and experience that. And it's so unfortunate that for us human beings that it oftentimes takes something like that for us to find the gratitude. And every single one of us can relate to that because it's just human nature. It's something about us humans that, I mean, we will complain living in a 20,000 square foot mansion and driving 50 Lamborghinis that the house is too big and I got too many cars to take care of.
Yes.
I mean, we can always find something to complain about, and to, our kids can be healthy. They can be rambunctious. You're right. And we can just think that, oh my God, I got the worst kids in the world. What did I do wrong? But really we got healthy, vibrant children who are, it's really just a human trait. And that is why finding gratitude, making gratitude list for me, getting clean, that this was probably the number one strategy, I guess, that was taught to me, was that a grateful addict will never use. And that was driven into my head so hard that if you want to stay clean, Dave, you need to find freaking gratitude, man. You need to figure out what the hell you can be grateful about, because look, even if you don't got $1 to your name, a pot to pee in, or a window to throw it out of, you ain't out suffering in your addiction the way that you did for so many years.
Yeah.
You ain't dope sick today. You ain't withdrawing. You ain't starting your life over in some detox. I mean,
right.
there are things that you, my friend Dave, could find gratitude for. And
yes.
a grateful addict will never use. And I'll tell you, I have tried to stay grateful. there's a difference between gratitude and happiness.
Mhm.
Happiness is something that's happy people weird me out because were you born like that? I mean, this world is hard.
Yes.
The world is hard. It's not just you who has tough things that you're going. We all do, right? And so
Yeah.
happiness is sort of an elusive thing. Happiness is sort of like, eh, because there's always something that's hard or tragic that makes me sad.
Mhm.
Gratitude, though, is something that I can manufacture. I can create that. I can create that feeling of gratitude from literally making even a mental list. I don't even have to get out the pen and paper, making a mental list. These are the things that I'm grateful for. And we can do that same thing as we're starting this business. It's like, I'm grateful that I've actually found a safe community that I can learn at my own pace. I'm grateful that I don't have to chase friends and family. There's just a million things to be grateful. Maybe I'm grateful that I didn't have huge success right off the bat. Maybe I wouldn't have known what to do with that. Right. I'm grateful that I've got, an opportunity to have a wide open future and that I'm not, dying, as you said. I mean, that was
Yep.
about the most black and white example that anybody can
I
give, but
know.
it's so real.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
grateful I'm not dying today.
yeah. I mean, and that was really what it was for me. That was 2 years ago that it started, that I was just like, okay, what, every day I live like my marriage is horrible and everything's over. And I'm like, it's not. Like, why am I in that mindset? And so, yeah, it was just something for me. And my husband has been in recovery too. And I know gratitude and gratitude journals. I would like make fun of him. I'm like, he would like lay in bed at night and be like, I'm thankful that you, and he would give me all these like affirmations. And I was like, okay, that was on your list today, you know? And then I like, for whatever reason, just like watching what I watched my dad go through and just the positivity, I was like, man, I realized like gratitude is everything. I mean, it's like the start of your mindset is like, okay, I could wake up and my mind could be like, just focused on all the things that are wrong today. Or I could be like, I'm not dying. And for me, that was it. I'm not dying. I can walk to the bathroom. My dad couldn't at the end, so it was just stupid little things, but it was just so real for me. That it was just that it was the start of a shift in my mind of like, okay, I'm not dying. So then if I'm not dying, like I feel like I have been for years, what does that look like? When then you're just like, I don't see that very clear yet. It was like focus on the gratitude. And then it was just really figuring out like what's my purpose, where, like, what can I do with my life that means something. And I think all of it still just goes back to just watching your life is short. My dad was 69. It's like, gosh, like life is so short. I've got to stop living in this mindset that I'm dying, like I have so much to live for.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
this is I hope you share this so many times and so often. I hope this becomes a part of this story. I just want to give you the feedback and validation that the things that you've said today are so real, are so, I mean, so powerful. These stories, the analogies that you've given, I mean, you really have a powerful message, and you are a wonderful example of turning your mess into a message. I mean, if I can say that about anybody that I've ever interviewed on this show, I can say that about you, Mandy, is
thank you.
that you have a wonderful ability, at least right now, maybe not a few years ago or even a few months ago, I don't know.
Oh,
But as
yeah.
I'm sitting here talking to you today, you have an absolutely wonderful way of authentically turning your mess into a message and telling these little analogies and these little stories in a way that is just so powerful, and so it provides just this wonderful takeaway for us all to like really think deeply about our own lives. I mean, real tragedy, real situations, not just not just theory, not just, I mean, these are things that you've actually gone through. And my friends, all of you who are listening to this, you likely have very similar things that you've gone through. You likely have very similar things that you've endured, that you've survived, lessons that you've taken away. I mean, I can't tell you the lessons that I learned from my dad being in the hospital this year for 77 days. when he had open heart surgery and had complications after that, was on a ventilator for 50 days. And I mean, yeah, I had a very similar awakening that you did, that life is very precious. It's very fragile. And you can go from hanging out with your family one day, chilling, doing your thing, working, being miserable, whatever it is, to the next day you're laying on a hospital bed on a ventilator, and you don't know if you're going to make it or not, right? You don't know if you're going to make it out of there alive. And you just have done that in such a powerful way for us this morning. I wonder if I could just end with this one final question, because it's a question of introspection. You being introspective and looking inside, and really also validating yourself. What have you learned about you through this process? What have you learned that you either did not know you had, or was within you, or you had forgotten about yourself as you started this journey?
Oh, so many things. But I think probably the biggest thing for me would be I was so closed off for the last 10 years. I was so closed off from everything. Like I'd been hurt, like through my marriage, through my friendships, through the death of my dad, there's a million other things I could go on about. And so vulnerability to me, I was just like, I'm out. You see this wall? Because you ain't getting through it, and that trickled into everything I did. So I think if I'm thinking about this correctly, but I mean, I just feel like vulnerability to me is connection. And it's like that's what I've gotten out of just starting and just stepping into the space. I've already like met other women, moms that have reached out, and they're like that I've related to and that we've connected. And I'm like, I just think for so long I lived in this like where I was just venting, and I feel like venting seeks relief, and vulnerability seeks connection. And so it's like this story of like wanting to be known, but not wanting to be known to be like famous, wanting to be known so that like you can say, yeah, me too. Like, yeah, I don't want to carry this by myself, like just I feel like that's the true connection. And I just had closed myself off from the even option of having that for such a long time, because I was so hurt in so many areas of relationships in my life. So stepping back into this has allowed me to like be vulnerable. It's allowed me to like share parts of my story that I maybe don't like, that hurt still, or that like feel just like hard. And it's allowed me to connect with other people and to just, I don't know. I can't really tell you what that vulnerability does when you connect with someone, but connection to me is what leads to everything else, like gratitude and all the things. Is being able to feel like I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that has like a crazy last 10 years of SHIT stuff that's happened to me. And I'm not the only one insecure stepping into this space, wondering, can I do this? Am I good enough? Like being able to like connect with other people that feel the same way. And then also be able to remind each other, yes, you can, like, yes, you can. And just hearing you like, just affirm some of the stories. I mean, I'll be honest, like I was scared to come on this interview. Like I haven't really talked about my story for an hour with anybody other than a therapist. And so it was scary for me. I was like, I don't know what my story is because it's so weird. Like there's so many things. And so I appreciate the affirmations. Somebody taught me once, like when someone gives you a compliment, I'm terrible at receiving them. So they're like, that's okay. All you have to do is you just have to sit there and you have to go, received. So like, I'm like, that's what I do. I was about to be like, received, Dave, because I want to like deflect any kind of compliment, but at the same time, like, I do know that like God uses your pain for a purpose. And I know that I see that clearly now. I don't know what that still looks like going forward, but I know that I'm just supposed to take the next step. And for me, that's been this journey of learning affiliate marketing, learning online, how to sell things, making money online. And that's what I'm just doing. I'm just going to the next step. I'm not trying to think about what is the big picture. What is your vision for me, Lord? Like, I'm just like, what do you need me to do today? Because I'm going to do it. Here I am. Use me.
Powerful. Well, this has been very inspirational. I mean, the comments are just pouring in terms of just identification, appreciating your honesty. Very inspiring story. This will resonate with many people. Amen, Mandy. Nope, you're not alone. Your story, exclamation point. Oh my God, speak yes. I love you. I had to miss the middle while working, but we'll re-listen. I mean, just like this is just the last like 1 minute of comments that just came through. Love this story. Just so much identification, makes me cry and happy. She's a champion.
You're making me cry now. I was like, I'm not going to cry on this.
You have such an amazing story, a true testimony. I'm grateful to hear this message this morning. Amen. I mean, yeah, your analogy, your experience with your dad was everything for me today. I am not dying. Gratitude is everything. Yes. So much coming in from your words this morning and your experience. So go cry, go do your thing. Okay. And thank you so much for your time today and your stories, and come back and keep me posted on your journey. Okay.
I will. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you later, Mandy.
Bye.
All right, my friends, there you have it. Wealth hacker mom, Mandy Rose, over on TikTok and Instagram. What a powerful, wonderful, amazing show this morning. We just never know what to expect here on the show. It's such a beautiful, beautiful process to, bring out, just members of this community and just, talk about their process and their journey, and allow them the space to be able to process through some of their stories and have an opportunity to turn their mess into a message right here for all of us, and show not us, but really themselves, just truly how powerful they are, and Corey, I agree. That was legendary. Alex, I agree. She was wonderful. Jojo, amen, girl. Keep up the great work. Live like you're not dying. Shannon says, great interview. Keeps me motivated. Tears from Elizabeth. Thank you. Kathy, wonderful to see you on. Thank you. Great story, says Wes. Getting back to the training. Sherry says, thank you for an incredible interview this morning. God bless. Thank you much. Thank you for the story. Thanks, Mandy. Thank you, and inspired me to keep moving. Great. All of you, this is really just life in the process. All of us just using each other as positive motivation in order to keep going in this thing called life, in this journey called entrepreneurship. It does sometimes require a village to raise one of us to be successful. And that's okay. That's okay. The vulnerability of saying, hey, I do need help. I could use the help. I do need support. And that's exactly what this is all about. So go and follow Mandy over at Wealth Hacker Mom on TikTok and Instagram. And you can support her the way that she has given you incredible support this morning, by sharing her vulnerable story with you, by when you see her content, liking, commenting, sharing, all the things. Not just stalking and lurking and going and trying to see what they're doing, right? But actually lifting us up, lifting people up, lifting guests up on the show. And we will do the same for you if you're ever on the show as well. We will do everything that we can to support you every step of the way. Jus, you're so welcome. Another great episode. Hey, thanks for being here for it. Megan, you need your village. You got your village, okay? Claim your village. Don't just wait for the village to come and save you, okay? Claim your village. This is what they told me in recovery. If I wanted to stay clean, I needed to get in the middle of the boat. You can't sit on the sidelines. You can't sit on the edge. You can't hold on to the rope and say, I need my village. You need to climb up in the boat and get in the middle of the boat, okay? Misty, you love that we have these groups. I love that you love to come and join these groups. All right, my friends. We will see you back here tomorrow for another episode. As always, stay legendary. Be great. Know that we are not here to complete you. You already have everything inside of you that you need to be successful. It is our honor and our privilege to help you to go inside and to remind you and to discover that it's already there, and you just need to use it, okay, before you lose it, right? Because life is short. And today, as Mandy said, you're not dying, you're living. Let's find some gratitude in that and take some action and go show yourself and the world what you're made of. Stay legendary. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. Peace.